Hello, and welcome to another edition of Starside Chat. I am one of your hosts, Aaron, and with me as always is Zach. How's it going, Zach?
Pretty good. How's it going with you?
It's going well. We took a week off, and in that week, Mobile World Congress happened, which is not necessarily game-related, but I thought we might chat about it at the top of the show.
How do you feel about foldable phones?
I like them in concept because I like a thing I can like when I had a flip phone, I would just be flipping that thing nonstop. And I like the idea of having a large screen, but I don't like the idea of paying $2,000 for it.
Yeah, I was gonna say the price of that tech needs to come down. I feel like that probably is the future, although I don't know. They're like plastic displays because they have to like bend, and you can't really bend glass. But
I also don't know how you would put a case on it.
Yeah, that too. Like, so the two different designs that we've seen, like the Huawei one, sort of the screen's on the outside, and so it flips open.
Insanely easy to break.
Yeah, that was what I was going to say. I was like, I feel like you would just, like, that design seems nice at first, but then you realize that, like, you would probably destroy that thing really quickly.
Yeah.
I think the Samsung one is probably the better. That's the one where it folds in. So it's like the screen itself is sort of protected when you close it, but the outside screen is like super weird aspect ratio and small and sort of bezel-y.
I feel like I want, and I have not seen this yet, I want like a squat, fat phone that I would hold like a flip phone, like of olden days, that I would then flip up and then like it's tall, but the inside is all another touch
It's not
screen.
like tablet size, it's like normal phone size.
No, but I mean, you can turn it and it is like a weird aspect ratio. But yeah, it's just like stacking stuff on top of each other, and somehow that leads to, I don't know. I'm not sure what, but I would love to have another flip phone, I guess is what I'm saying.
I'm not sure we've found the future design of like the flip phone of the future quite yet, but there's some interesting stuff going on there if you want. If you want to check that out.
It's all going to be AR. It's just going to be
glasses. It might be interesting to think about what they're going to look like as far as like gaming on those, because there are so many games that are set up right now to either be portrait or landscape on a regular like 16 by 9 screen. When you like have to stretch that out to, or have it work in both orientations of like the regular landscape portrait style of a normal phone screen, but then also flip it out so it's also tablet, like how is that going to work?
It's a good question, and I think this is in general moot, because another thing that happened last week or at the beginning of this week was Magic Leap unveiled the Magic Leap 2. I think that's more towards what phones will eventually be, is just glasses, but this one is like specifically for industries, because it's like a bunch of money, but it's double the FOV of the first Magic Leap.
That's I thought that was the Microsoft.
Oh, is that HoloLens? What am I thinking?
Yeah. HoloLens.
HoloLens. I'm thinking of HoloLens. Yeah, HoloLens 2 is what I'm thinking of. But yeah, double the FOV of HoloLens 1, and everyone has good things to say about it. And they were talking about just like mapping the world in AR and stuff, and all those HoloLens like tech demos that you saw of like people walking around their house and they have like a virtual pet, but also like they can just throw up a 3D representation of the weather to like be on their table, things like that. I feel like a phone of the future is just like, you know, hand gestures.
I can see that. Like if they sort of shrink it down and make it so it is just sort of more like glasses or normal headwear and not this giant helmet thing that you put on your head.
Because then you don't have to worry about like, you know, dropping your phone, because your phone is just your eyes.
Yeah. Well, and so if you didn't see this, just imagine Iron Man. Just go remember the Iron Man things where he's like swiping around on these like sort of 3D holograms on his tabletop computer type of a thing. And he's just sort of like swiping stuff and he's spinning it around. It basically looked like that.
Speaking of titans of industry, like Iron Man, Tony Stark, should we get to the news?
We should, because a very important person is retiring, or has retired.
Reggie Fils-aime, is that how you say it?
I think it's Fils-aime, but I'm not sure. That's French for son love, or son like, something like that.
Oh, interesting.
I don't know if that's what it's supposed to actually be, but it just happens to be some French words. But
Reggie is well liked, and I didn't see anyone, like, everyone was just like praising him. He put up a video earlier in the week of just like, hey, that's it. I did not watch it, actually. Did you?
No, not really. He's been around for 100 years, I think, is the exact timetable.
I was only vaguely aware of who Reggie was back, up until 2016, I think. Because I didn't really have a GameCube or a Wii or a Wii U, so I had kind of checked out from Nintendo. And I had seen his face around, and I knew that he was involved in skits and whatnot.
I don't know. I don't have a whole lot of memories of Reggie either, because I did grow up on Nintendo consoles, but also I didn't necessarily follow stuff like E3 and these big gaming conferences until relatively recently.
Yeah.
And that's when you start seeing him pop up, because he was always doing stuff on stage for Nintendo during E3, and of course he's always sort of a part of the Nintendo Directs. But
and he was one of the 3 at the Game Awards, that big thing that happened at the Game Awards this year, where it was him, the guy from Sony, and the guy from Xbox, and they all stood on stage together.
Yeah, which was pretty cool. And that kind of leads into another thing we wanted to just sort of, well, before we move on to that, did you happen to catch the guy who's replacing him?
Yeah, his name is Bowser, right?
Doug Bowser, and which is hilarious. That's
insane.
It's like nominating the villain that your main hero fights against to be the president or whatever.
So
that's crazy.
Do you think they're gonna lean into this, and in future directs the skits are gonna be about how he is secretly Bowser?
Maybe it could be. That could be fun. I saw
what if he's an ominous presence?
I think I sent you a picture of a tweet that I had seen where somebody had photoshopped the head of Doug from that cartoon show from the 90s on top of Bowser's body.
You did that, and that was I think that was before I heard the news, and so I looked at that picture, and it was just in the messaging app we use, it cuts off the top and bottom sometimes. So I just saw that picture for a second. And I was like, what is this? Why is Zach sending me this weird picture of Bowser with Doug's head on it? And then I read the news and I was like, oh, this makes sense. This is funny.
Yeah. Well, and because I sort of had a similar thing where I saw people tweeting out these made up names for new presidents of different gaming companies. And somebody, I forget who, but they tweeted something the new president of Activision, Mike Lootbox, or something like that. And there was a bunch of those. And at first I was like, what is happening right now? I didn't get it. And then I saw this news and I read the name of Reggie's replacement. I was like, oh, now it makes so much sense.
It is very funny. So do you think he's completely done? Or do you think we'll have one more video with him in it? Or do you think he's completely over?
It sounds like he retired. I'm kind of curious. Maybe they do sort of a passing of the torch type of a video for maybe even the next Direct, or maybe over E3. Who knows?
Spoiler alert for what we're going to talk about in a second, but the next Direct is tomorrow.
It is, which is pretty exciting because it's going to be about the upcoming Pokemon game.
Yes. 8 a.m. tomorrow. I have heard that it's only going to be 7 minutes long.
Well, tomorrow. So by the time this podcast is up, that will have already happened. And so we'll have to talk about it later on next week's show, I guess. But
it's got to be about the new mainline Pokemon game, right?
Well, the picture that they were tweeting out literally was Nintendo Direct tomorrow, and there were Pokeballs on the picture. So
yeah, but you don't think it's just going to be guess what? New Pokemon Snap, or here's a bunch of Pokemon Go news.
No, I feel like it does have to be about the new Pokemon game.
It has to be, right?
Yeah, because that would be a huge troll, actually, if they were sorry, this was just an update about new features coming to Pokemon Go, which I don't think they actually do that for Nintendo Directs, do they? They never reference Pokemon Go, so that would be a wild troll if they did that.
Do you have any, speaking of wild things, do you have any wild speculation about what is it, 8th generation Pokemon is going to be?
I want to say they will probably borrow some elements from Let's Go.
Yeah.
I don't know that the catching thing will be borrowed, so I feel like people are afraid that that's going to happen and they don't want it. I feel like they won't steal that one, but like for sure being able to see Pokemon just walking out around the world while you're exploring, I feel like that will be borrowed.
What if this, Zach, do you think it is out of the realm of possibility that when you throw out a Pokemon, it's no longer turn-based and you are playing as that Pokemon in the field?
Oh, interesting. No, I feel like that would be a different Pokemon. Like, that wouldn't be a main series Pokemon game.
Yeah. Well, do you think they're going to do anything crazy to mix up the formula?
I mean, that formula has survived so many years at this point.
That's a good point.
It's like so tried and true that I feel like it would be a mistake to mess with it. Like, people would revolt. There would be riots in the streets.
What about this, though?
They would be like, no, Doug Bowser, you have ruined it.
What about, where do you think the setting is?
I don't know.
They've done France. They did Hawaii last time.
Yeah, that's the question. I don't know.
I also don't know. I'm not like super knowledgeable.
Yeah, I was going to say, I haven't kept up with all the main series games, so I couldn't honestly tell you all the different locations that they've sort of modeled their
Has there been one in
games
America?
after.
Or an America analog, I mean?
I don't know. I kind of don't want it, though. I kind of want them to go somewhere else. It's kind of like when Far Cry came to America and we're like, nah, you were better when you were doing more exotic locations.
What if it's just like New York and it's just like a bunch of different boroughs, like a New York analog type
that
thing?
could be cool. Yeah, if it was like sort of what's the city in Mario Odyssey?
New Donk City.
Yeah, if it was sort of New Donk City like, or
that would be crazy because like what would trails be or routes? I guess they would just be streets.
Yeah,
urban Pokemon.
They'd just be streets, and maybe you like can take like an MTR or something, like a subway, and take the train to your next location. It's sort of like a semi-fast travel like type of a thing.
Top down or third person, Zach?
So the last one, what was it, Sun and Moon, that was on 3DS, was sort of third person.
Oh, really?
So I feel like it will be more of that. It will be, I feel like it might actually be fairly similar to Let's Go.
Same engine as Let's Go?
Hard to say. I feel like, so Let's Go was more like kind of top down, but like 3D as well. Mm-hmm. And Sun and Moon was a little bit more like third person action adventure style, but you did sort of have a little bit more restricted movements just in terms of the paths that you could take. So it wasn't sort of like Skyrim free roam. Oh, that would be cool.
Oh.
Hopefully that's what it is.
Zach, will you be able to play this with more than one Joy-Con?
Yes. Because so people don't want the catching thing to be like Let's Go. And the whole reason they did it with just like one Joy-Con was so that you could use the motion controls to throw out a Pokeball, sort of like Pokemon Go. Regular main series games, I think, does use like the full complement of controls. So I feel like it'll be like that.
I'm very interested to see what it is. I feel like there's a lot of things in the air.
Will there be co-op?
Ooh, good question. Now I'm just thinking about all the things it could be. It's got to be, but 100%. There's almost no chance they don't talk about 8th generation mainline story Pokemon.
Yeah, for sure.
Do you think there's going to be, like, because the rumor was, at least last year, that there's going to be like further RPG elements to this Pokemon?
That would be cool. I mean, maybe that's the way they sort of build on to the formula, kind of like you were talking about, like to switch it up a little bit, not necessarily in a way that totally breaks from the original formula that they've been working with for so long, but like sort of complements it and adds some sort of interesting new features to it.
I want to know. So I'm going to wake up early and watch this, but then immediately go back to sleep.
Speaking of stuff that's happening on the Switch, we were speculating a little bit about how Xbox stuff will probably be coming to the Switch because of the whole Xbox Live coming to Switch.
Yeah, so there was a report talking about how some exclusives, the one I'm excited for is Cuphead.
Yeah,
but also
I was going to ask you if you wanted to play that.
I don't know. I watched someone play all the way through it, and I was really into it. And I could see it if I could play it on if there was a very easy mode, like very very easy mode, and I could use both Joy-Cons to do multiplayer co-op. I would totally be down to play that.
I'm sure
but
you
solo, I don't know. It's very hard. I love the music and the animation, but
I never finished it. So I played.
How far did you get?
I played it some on PC. I don't even remember at this point. I think I got stuck on like the last boss fight on like the second world or whatever, maybe. I don't remember even how many there were. And then I just, for whatever reason, got wrapped up in other things and never went back to it. But I always like told myself I would definitely play a lot more of this game if it was on Switch, because then I could just like try to make a couple of runs, before I go to bed, or I could take it with me and play on the go, which seems ideal for that sort of 2D side-scrolling type of a game. And same with Ori and the Blind Forest that you were talking about, because I had mentioned that I very briefly started it the other day just because I was curious about it. I remember I think somebody was talking on a podcast where they were like, I've never played Ori and the Blind Forest, but that soundtrack is amazing. And so I like, just out of curiosity, I looked it up, and it is pretty amazing. And that made me want to start the game, because you and I had previously talked about how we had both picked up the game at about the same time, but neither of us had played it yet.
Yeah, I think we both got it during like a Humble bundle. It's always on Humble, or it's usually like on Steam sales.
I think I
like
got it
$1.
on a Steam sale for like super cheap. And yeah, there's a second one coming out later this year at some point. And so I was like, I kind of want to try to play through that game before the second one comes out, because the second one looked pretty good to me.
So when I first heard about this Xbox stuff, I guess I thought it was something else, because
it's mostly Xbox Live, right?
Well, so the rumor was, or is, and like it's pretty much common knowledge that there's going to be different SKUs of Xboxes, in the new generation, and one of them is just going to be straight up streaming. And so I was like, oh, so this means that like you're just going to be able to download an app for your Nintendo and then stream Xbox games to it. But this makes it seem like they're going to have like almost a physical release of Cuphead.
Is that what the report said?
I mean, I didn't hear anything. Nothing in the report said stream Cuphead. Maybe it is just downloadable. I don't know. But like, what do you think about that idea of, since Xbox Live is coming, like Xbox the service will come to Switch?
Well, that's the thing. If it comes with like Xbox Game Pass, I feel like that would definitely boost their subscriber numbers.
Oh yeah,
because I would definitely give it a chance, at least for a while, maybe off and on, just to be able to like try out some newer Xbox games. Yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I'm curious to hear how they actually plan to implement it, because it's not super clear to me at the moment what they mean by that. But just the idea of like, because neither of us have Xboxes.
No.
All their games other than Halo are on PC as well. So I have never really felt like I was missing out by not having an Xbox. But like, if they have all their like services and games available on Switch as well, like that's totally a game changer, but also even more reason to not own an Xbox.
I mean, it's true, but like,
unless it is game streaming, in which you need to have the console, you need to have the game physically downloaded on that console, and then it's just sort of kind of like PS or PlayStation Portable streaming. You know what I mean?
Well, I don't know, man. Like, what if Xbox is being super forward thinking, and they want to turn into like just a service? They want to just be Netflix. They don't want to sell a Netflix box. They want to just start selling. I don't even know what. I don't know. I guess maybe they would just become a publisher. Does that make sense?
Yeah,
or it's a service though. It is a service.
Yeah, because they do have like the Xbox Game Pass, and they do. I mean, they might be looking forward to what Google has coming up, which is another one of our news stories that we're going to talk about in a minute. But like, they could be, instead of like thinking we need to compete with Sony on the next generation of consoles, maybe they're thinking our new competition is Google, and we need to get onto this like streaming thing, And maybe we just don't even care about consoles anymore because the industry's maybe moving over to streaming platforms, and maybe they don't even want to mess with trying to sell a physical box to people anymore. Maybe they are going more the service route.
It's possible, like maybe there's a future where you don't buy the new Xbox, you just go to xbox.com or you download the Xbox app on any of your devices, and suddenly Xbox is the cloud platform, kind of like what we're going to talk about with Google in a second. But they're like, I don't know. It's like both of them, I think, are going to kind of be like that.
Yeah, I can definitely see that. I didn't think about that until you brought it up, but that's definitely a possibility. That's one direction they could take it. And
a cool name for this would be the Cloud Wars.
Ooh, I bet that will be the way they refer to it. You heard it here first, though.
We came up with it.
Yeah, don't let anyone tell you differently.
I'm TMing it right now.
Yes, get that TM on it, and we'll start making websites about it, and it'll be great. No, but I do think Xbox Live will be a thing that is not necessarily tied to their Xbox consoles.
Mm-hmm. I mean, you can already get it on PC, right? I mean, Game Pass.
They do have
PC,
an
right?
Xbox app. And last time I checked, the Games Pass was exclusive to the console. I don't know if that's changed yet, because there was a time where I wanted to subscribe or do like a trial of Game Pass just so that I could like try out a couple of Xbox games on my PC. But then I found out that it was only on console or only on their Xbox, so I could not do that. But that could have changed.
I can't wait for E3.
Yeah, it'll be very interesting. And they definitely, like, to sort of contrast, Sony saying, we're not even going to be there. We don't find it important to be there.
What a bummer.
Yeah, Microsoft's going the complete opposite direction. They're like, we're all in on E3. It's going to be great. We got a lot of exciting stuff to share. And so, yeah, there's not going to be a war this year. Who won E3? It's just going to come up all Microsoft, I think.
I mean, it's basically Microsoft versus Nintendo versus, I guess, Bethesda.
Well, I mean, yeah, there'll be like Bethesda and EA and whoever else shows up, but
EA's not going to win.
Square Enix and like none of those guys are going to win. So it's definitely down to Microsoft and Nintendo. But
and speaking of getting things on Nintendo, I keep waiting for the announcement of Apex on Switch.
Oh gosh. So here's the thing. If you can't you can't actually download Apex Legends officially on Switch, if this whole like game streaming service through Xbox Live becomes a thing that you can just do on your Switch anyway, one way or another, we're going to play Apex Legends on our Switch one day.
I cannot wait for that. Although I was thinking about this, how would you get the map?
Let me grab my Switch Pro controller here.
I don't think there's enough, because the map on PlayStation is just the giant middle button, but it doesn't have a giant middle button.
It's got a plus or a minus button.
Plus would have to be the inventory.
Then it would be minus.
Oh, I forgot about the minus button. Never mind.
We're good. We're good. Nothing to worry about here.
TM that.
Solved it. I already know. The
about
only problem with the Switch Pro controller is that the triggers are not variable. So that is maybe a thing to think about. But I guess like there are shooters on Switch, so it's not like it's been a huge problem for people, or they just haven't encountered it before. So
should we talk about this mysterious Google thing?
Yeah, we should, because there's not a lot of details, I don't think, but it's very exciting. So I'll let you lead into it.
GDC, which we all know and love, is in March 19th. And Google was like, we've been working on all this like streaming stuff. We have this initiative about games. We did that thing with Assassin's Creed Odyssey. And we're finally ready to show everyone what Project Stream is all about. So they're holding a conference. They're holding what would you call a thing in a conference? I guess just like a presentation.
Yeah.
A keynote at 1 p.m. Eastern on March 19th, and it's going to show us whatever it is. And I mean, it very well could be like, guess what? It's live now. Like the service is live now. Go download it. Like you can start playing stuff now.
I feel like you won't even need to download anything.
Oh, you think it'll just be in your Chrome browser? That's a good point because that's how
I was going to say,
Odyssey
did you
was.
download anything for Project Stream?
No, I immediately started playing it. That's a good point. So yeah, they could just be like, go to this website and immediately begin playing, which would be crazy and good. But yeah, details are scarce, but it's very exciting.
Yeah, and I do think Project Stream was a precursor to whatever this is going to be. I don't know how many people how many companies they have on board with them, but the speculation is that this is sort of the next generation of gaming, and it is all cloud-based, and it's
Cloud Wars.
It's the Cloud Wars, yes. The Cloud Wars are coming.
The Cloud Wars have begun.
They will begin on March 19th.
So we'll cover this, obviously. Maybe, you know what, I've wanted to do this for a while, and we haven't been able to do it yet, but I would love to do one of those things where you and me watch a press conference live and live stream our reactions.
That would be fun, yeah.
We need to figure out exactly how to do it.
Yeah, we need to figure out how to do it. We've got some time, but we need to figure out how to do it, but then we also need to, like, make sure our schedules are, like, clear for that to actually happen.
Oh, that's a good point. What day is March 19th of the week?
It's a Tuesday, which might be rough.
It is going to be rough for me as well.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, E3 is right around the corner.
Yeah, it doesn't have to be this particular game conference. It could be a different one, so.
Yeah. And we talked a little bit about Assassin's Creed Odyssey, but I guess...
Well, yeah, I was going to say, this is just sort of a side note, just sort of to branch off of this whole Project Stream thing. The Assassin's Creed Odyssey copies that were supposed to be going out to the people who participated in Project Stream are now officially out. So if you did participate in Project Stream, just open up Uplay and it should be there.
I guess this is something we should have talked about in the last segment, but do you think, like, it has to be possible, or it has to be the end game to get this on TVs? So do you think Chromecasts are just going to start having this functionality? Because I know Chromecast 3.0 or whatever it was called, the last one, had Bluetooth functionality. So do you think they'll just, like, sell a controller and I'll be able to cast whatever Assassin's Creed or anything to my TV with my Chromecast?
That would be cool. Just like, you mean opening your Chrome tab on your computer and then just being like cast
Not
tab?
Even. Like, if you have a Chromecast, or like most modern TVs have Chromecast built into it, if they just like have this game streaming thing use the same protocols, maybe it's like a thing you start with your phone, but you just like, you click your Project Stream in your phone and then you click, you know, this TV, and all of a sudden you're, you know, able to use your controller on the TV.
Yeah, that could work, and that could be really cool. I was thinking more of like the set-top boxes, like I have the NVIDIA Shield TV.
Right.
For sure it would work with that, no problem. But yeah, you could definitely just in like their, what is it? Is it their Google Home app now? Is that what they call it? Where they have, then maybe they just update that and it's got a tab for games or whatever.
That would be so good.
That would be awesome.
Because I have, like, every TV in my house has a Chromecast, and one of them is a very old Chromecast, so it probably would not work on that one. But if I could just go to any TV, it's basically like having a Switch with multiple docks. If I could go to any TV and then just activate the Chromecast with my phone and then, like, pick up a controller, that would be awesome.
So I guess here's another question. We kind of speculated when we were doing our Assassin's Creed Odyssey on Project Stream video, like a long time ago, whether or not you'd eventually be able to play this on phones. What if you're able to stream it on your phone and sort of like those, what was it? It was like Steam that showed you being able to stream games from Steam on your computer onto your phone and use like a Bluetooth controller. And then it would be kind of like that whole PlayStation Portable thing where...
Yeah.
Which you used to use. You used to take your PSP with you to, like, while you were traveling, and you'd be able to still play Destiny.
Yeah, I mean, Destiny was perfect for that because I could just run around. I mean, Destiny 1, with all those, like, things where you had to log in and just do random bounties, it was perfect for that because there was a little bit of latency, but just, like, running around the Cosmodrome and taking care of, like, 5 bounties at a time, it was so perfect for that, and it was great. It did involve my PS4 having to, like, turn on at my apartment in another state, and then like I would have to very carefully. And also like if you were on and you saw me playing, and you tried to like send me a request to play with me, I couldn't basically do anything because there's no way to chat on a PSP, so I just had to decline. But I mean, it would be great if just like any screen could become a conduit for streaming, which I think is where we're heading.
Yeah, I was going to say, if you could eventually do that with your phone, that would be awesome. Also, Project Stream on Switch? Like, is this Google streaming initiative just like Microsoft's eventually coming to Nintendo platforms?
God, that would be so crazy.
Because
also,
again, this like enables so many games that are not already on Nintendo's platform to be playable on Nintendo's platform. Like, you can't play Assassin's Creed on a Switch right now.
Or Halo, for that matter.
Yeah, but maybe you can one day.
Can't play Destiny on a Switch right now.
Yeah, that's unfortunate.
And here's something. This is even taking into account those rumors from earlier in the year that Nintendo's going to unveil some new variant on the Switch at E3 or around E3. Either a light version or a pro version or something like that.
Yeah, I can see them doing like a pro version that's got beefier specs, which would make it ideal for all of these like streaming services, playing your TBD. Xbox games on there.
It's a very interesting topic that I'm sure we'll get more into. I'm sure there's going to be a ton of stuff about like the new streaming, the Cloud Wars at GDC. That's going to be a hot topic at GDC. But Zach, I want to hear about the new Overwatch hero.
So Overwatch has a new hero called Baptiste, and he's a support character. And he looks kind of cool. He's got like this biotic launcher that fires like these little grenades that will heal your teammates or damage enemies. And it's like a 3-round burst assault rifle as well. And he's got these exo boots that let him jump over obstacles or like jump really high or whatever.
That's interesting. So have you watched anything, like, is there a cooldown for that, or is he always just jumping high?
So you have to, my understanding was that you have to hold like the crouch button to sort of charge it, and then you can jump, which is kind of interesting. But it will, I guess, keep you from just like constantly jumping super high. But then there's also, like, he has this immortality field where he can sort of lock teammates' health at like 25% or whatever, so they will never go below that. Yeah,
that's crazy. Yeah, I saw that, and it's a new, interesting way. It's like if Zenyatta's thing was worse.
Yeah, like, I guess that's true. It's a little bit worse. Although if somebody's like below that, it will like top them up to about 25% or whatever. And in the meantime, he can just be like healing them the whole time. So they will for sure never go below that. So if somebody's like trying to ult them or whatever, they won't die no matter what. And then he's also got this like amplification matrix thing that he plops down. And so like
that's his ultimate, right?
I believe so. Yeah, it's his ultimate. And then like it'll double the damage of anything that goes through it.
And the healing of anything that goes through it, right?
Yeah, healing as well. So like I don't think it's everything. It's a lot of things, but not everything. So like if Reinhardt walks up to it and like swings his hammer through it to try to hit somebody on the other side, it's not going to double that. It is mostly like the projectiles. What
if this happens? Do you think it stacks with that thing that Anna does where she supercharges someone?
I think it does, actually. I think so.
Powerful combo.
I might share a video. I don't remember all the things that they were trying out, but I saw this from this YouTube channel that covers Overwatch. They tested out a bunch of stuff. So like Orisa, I think her ult is she plops down this thing that like sends out these beams to all teammates in the area that amplifies their damage. And Anna, of course, has one as well. And I want to say there's another one that I can't think of. And so they were testing all of them stacked together. And it was like doing crazy amounts of damage or whatever, which was really cool. But yeah, so there's some interesting use cases for it. Although like the stacking thing, that's going to require an awful lot of coordination, and everybody obviously has to be using those heroes. So I feel like you won't run into that a lot, but it's cool that it's possible.
Is he a good guy or a bad guy in the lore?
If just looking at him, I would guess good guy because he's like a combat medic, which I feel like is not necessarily.
But there's not an evil medic yet, is there?
What's Moira? Because I could see her being an evil character. Actually, no, she's a good character because there was like a one of the events has this sort of cooperative mode where she's hanging out with the good guys. So
yeah.
At least I don't know. I don't know Overwatch lore that well, so don't go off of my understanding of it. So,
Zach, I have good news for you.
Okay.
I am completely free this weekend, and my significant other is going out of town.
Ooh, are we going to play some Apex?
We can play some Apex, but we can also play the Division 2 open beta.
It is open this weekend. It was not open last time. So
you don't have to have pre-ordered it. Is that correct?
That is true. It is open for everyone on all platforms. So you do not have to have pre-ordered in order to play it this time.
So we could, in theory, log into some Division 2 and check it out this weekend.
We could do that as well. I didn't play it on PC last time because I was given a code for the PS4 version of the beta. I don't know if your PC is up for it, but we could always just play on PS4 either way.
I don't know. I mean, I'm playing Apex these days, and everything is set to very low, but I'm getting pretty good frame rates.
We didn't get to make as many videos or any videos on the Division 2 that I kind of wanted to during the last beta session, so it'd be nice to actually record some video and talk a little bit more about it. I know I've been kind of down on the Division 2 recently, but just for fun, we should play some and maybe put together a video about it.
Yeah. I guess let's briefly talk about this. I don't know how newsworthy it is, but did you hear about this mysterious Bethesda placeholder that appeared on Amazon?
I didn't.
So it only was for like a couple hours, I think, a few days ago. But Amazon had this placeholder for like a countdown page that seemed very Fallout-esque. And no one was really sure what it was for, and then they got it taken down. But people are speculating it's maybe a remaster of Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas.
Ooh, that would be cool.
That we might see some stuff about at GDC. There's also, just in this article, they also mentioned that we might see the first footage from Wolfenstein Young Blood, which is that new Wolfenstein coming out at GDC this year. Although I don't think that's super likely. I think they'll wait for E3 for that. But I don't know. Would you play a remastered version of Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas?
I think New Vegas is the better between the two, even though
I agree.
I think I look back very fondly on Fallout 3 just because that was the first one that I played, and it got me super into like action RPGs for kind of the first time. And I played everything. I played all the DLCs. I got all the achievements. I played I don't know how many hours of that game. So it does like still hold a special place with me, but I feel like if I went back to play it now, it would probably not hold up well. Unless maybe they did sort of a Resident Evil 2 style remake of it, but I feel like that's probably not what this is. What if it's Fallout 3 or Fallout New Vegas running on the more modern like Fallout 4 engine
with all the DLCs?
Yeah, with all DLCs, and it's on Switch.
I don't know. I mean, it basically is the same engine, isn't it?
I mean, there've been updates. It's confusing to me these days what
There's
exactly all of that means. Yeah.
Yeah.
I don't know if it is or if it isn't.
Something telling to me, back in the day, you and I both watched those Monster Factory things. Every one of those Bethesda games had the same glitch where you could make someone just like a crazy skinny string bean person. And I feel like they've just been, not that it's a bad thing, but I mean, I think all they could do is like HD the textures. I don't know how much has changed in the actual engine.
I guess it would make sense. I mean, people were speculating that we were going to get a remaster of one of the older games just because like they've been putting Skyrim on everything.
Yeah.
So it would make sense if they went back to either Fallout 3 or New Vegas and did the same for that. And that would be cool, but I don't know how much I'm itching to go back and replay those games. Even though I love them, I think I did re-buy both of them when they were like $1 on Steam sale. So like I could play them right now if I wanted to, and I still just haven't. They're good. I like those games, but
I guess maybe we'll find out at GDC, but for now.
Yeah, maybe there is something like mind-blowing that they're going to show, and I'll be like, now I have to play this, but who can say?
Let's talk about Anthem, because last week they were like, guess what? Everybody who's an MVP can totally play this game.
That was such a bad idea.
But it's not done, and you're going to have a bad time.
And everyone did have a bad time. Well, so...
But then they fixed it, right?
This is like a bad thing that EA has done. Like, they are trying to sell everyone on their subscription services, so they want to incentivize that by making it so that games come out a week early for anyone who's subscribed to their service, which makes sense, but at the same time, like, you kind of put your games out before they're ready to come out. Like, most of the time, a lot of big games, probably more than we realize, are like scrambling up to the last minute to like get their like day one patches ready to go to fix a lot of issues. And that was definitely the case with Anthem, and the game should not have gone out before that day one patch was out. It was rough trying to play the game in that first week, and literally like Twitch streamers, YouTube content creators, gaming outlets were playing the game and showing it to people and talking about it, giving their impressions and writing reviews based on that first week when everything was kind of not great. Everything was semi-broken, and it looked horrible for Anthem and for the devs. And I even thought about like trying to put together a video just to show what it was actually like trying to play in that first week. But I didn't, because I was like, this probably won't be relevant in like a day or two, so I'm not even going to worry about it. But yeah, people were publishing reviews about it. And so like people already hate EA, and they already sort of hate and are getting very sick and tired of the game as service model in general. Like, people feel burned by Destiny and Destiny 2 and all these games that sort of come out and feel... Sea of Thieves. I mean, pretty much any one of them, even back to like Diablo 3.
Oh, Zach, I have a sidebar.
Okay.
Did you see that? Where did I read this? There's going to be a Skull and Bones movie.
Really?
Yeah.
Like, based on this game that hasn't come out yet, they're already like doing a movie?
Yeah. I think I read that.
Wild.
Hold on, let me make sure that's right.
Is it going to be like a tie-in?
I don't remember. Now I'm not finding it. Oh yeah, hold on. Ubisoft's unreleased pirate game, Skull and Bones. Oh no, to get a TV show. I'm wrong. It's a TV show.
What's the source on that?
The Hollywood Reporter.
Oh, so that's like fairly legit. I wonder if it's going to be like, what was that sci-fi show that also put out like this really bad MMORPG game that was like supposed to run concurrently with the TV show?
What a bold idea that was.
It was an interesting idea that did not work well at all.
Here's some info about this. The project is being billed as a female-driven drama set in the lawless frontier of the Indian Ocean at the end of the golden age of piracy in the 1700s. The Mist's Amanda Siegel will write the pilot and executive produce alongside Atlas Entertainment's Andy Horowitz and Richard Suckle. I don't know who these people are. But that's weird, right?
Yeah, that's weird. I wonder if it is
a weird
like
thing.
A new take on that idea of like a TV show that runs concurrently with this like online game as service game, and maybe they just do it a lot better than they did. What was that show? Defiance. That's what it was.
I don't know. Yeah, I guess that's what it was.
Yeah.
I don't really remember.
Anyway, that's interesting. I honestly like piratey swashbuckling tales. Like, when I was in probably high school, I was like super into that genre. Like, I would watch a lot of old like pirate movies, like Errol Flynn movies, and I would like read these books about like pirate lore. I was a dork back then, I guess, but yeah, like, I don't know. I would watch the show. I think I might be more interested in watching the show than playing the game, to be honest, but maybe that would make me play the game. I don't know.
I like news where people's reaction to news isn't good or bad. It's just like
What?
Okay, I guess.
That's unexpected.
Anyway, keep going. What you were saying about I don't know what made me think of that. Games as service.
Yeah, I was talking about how people hate games as service, just the model in general, because they've been burned by it so badly by like Destiny 1 and 2 and Sea of Thieves. That's probably what triggered that idea in your head. But
that's what it is, yeah.
But yeah, like games always come out and they feel not quite ready yet, and they feel a little bit unfinished. And it like, so on the one hand, you have the people that are like, we've been burned by this before. We're not interested in this. This is terrible. Stop doing this. And then on the other hand, you have, we've seen this before. We know how this goes. Don't worry too much about it. It's going to get better. Just stick with it. And then you have, if the people do that, you have the people that have fond memories of Destiny 1 vanilla who are like, yeah, I was there for the loot cave, you know?
Oh man, I'm one of those people. I love that.
Like, so I didn't play Destiny at launch because I was on the fence about the game to begin with. And then
I don't think you had a PS4, did you?
I didn't have a PS4, but I could have gotten it on 360. And
I forgot it was
I considered that. And I even, well, like, I got a PS4 and I still didn't get the game right away because I still just remember the bad response to that game when it came out, and like the reviews were pretty middling for it. And
no one has nailed it yet.
Yeah, nobody's nailed it. And so I just kind of steered clear of it until you eventually convinced me to play it around, like, I think it was House of Wolves when that came out.
Yeah, it was right around House of Wolves, yeah.
Yeah, and by then there was like a lot more content. And then, of course, shortly after that, Taken King came out. And like, I feel like you'd be pretty hard pressed to find a reviewer who gave the game a 6 at launch, who by the end of the game's run would hold the game to a 6. You know what I mean? Like, the games get better. They get better over time. And like, I understand the people's perspective who say we shouldn't have to buy this game and wait for it to become the game we like paid $60 for. But at the same time, I think you can totally buy either Destiny 1 when it comes out or Anthem right now and still get $60 worth of value out of the game. There's also this like, there's sort of a YouTube culture that's happening right now of people that just love to hate on stuff, especially video games. And so I think they've kind of taken this and run with it because they also typically don't like the game as service model. So there is,
but I want to know,
there is a lot of negativity is all I'll say.
So you played a good majority of the game pre-patch, and now the patch is out, and I want to know how good the patch is.
Well, so I played the main, the critical path of the game before the patch came out, and I've played some since the patch came out, and that has improved things significantly as far as just performance in general goes. Like, it was fairly unplayable for me at times, and I think a lot of that has to do with the fact that the game is like so demanding on your system that like you basically need an SSD in order to get decent load times and
really
stuff like that. And I don't have one, so it was really rough that first week. But the people, like, I watched streamers who had SSDs. I was like, this is looking so much better on your machine, and I'm very upset about it right now. But the day one patch helped with that. And I think, like, there are too many load screens, like, for sure. It feels like a bunch of different people at BioWare were developing all these different aspects of the game. And then when they brought it all together, they were like, oh, we have a lot of load screens. Hopefully nobody will notice. But it sort of feels like in Destiny 1 when, like, you would log in and then you would load the tower so that you could grab your bounties and maybe swap some stuff out at your vault. Then you would have to go back to orbit and then go down to the planet and then do all your stuff and then go back to orbit and then back to the tower to like turn in all your stuff.
Man, I forgot about that you couldn't just go straight to places every time.
Yeah, so it feels like that right now where you're just sort of like, there's always at least 2 loading screens between you and everything that you want to do, which sucks, and maybe they can fix that over time. I know, like, Bungie did that. They did eventually sort of cut out the middleman so that you could go directly where you wanted to go.
Yeah.
BioWare is going to have to do that at some point. And people will look at that and just like say, oh, you guys are stupid for not having learned from Bungie's mistake. Because I do think in general, every time one of these games come up, the expectation is that they will have seen what happened with Destiny and they will have corrected all of those mistakes. And that the game will generally be everything that Destiny is and everything it's not. And that's just not realistic. So, like, I'm having fun with the game. There are problems that you can't ignore that you have to mention if you're going to review the game. So, like, I fully understand why the reviews are where they are. But I do think the response from, like, people online has been a little too much. And that you should probably ignore some of that in the same way I think you probably should have ignored some of it when Destiny 1 came out.
So how is the end game stuff? How's the tail looking?
Right now, it's fairly shallow. Basically, they need more of everything. Like, they need more loot. They need more weapons. They need more, like, javelin abilities. They need more missions. They need more variety of missions and more variety of weapons and stuff like that. And that's all going to come with time, as it usually does. And they're even talking about how they're going to address some of the loot stuff tomorrow. They
really?
They were tweeting out that they were going to talk about some of that stuff. So the encouraging thing is that BioWare has been like very forward on all of this stuff, where they've been willing to talk about it on Twitter and Reddit. So they've not done the thing that Bungie tends to do, where they like clam up for long periods of time until they have something specific to share. They've been doing a very good job of like sort of talking directly to the community, which is encouraging. But they have a lot of work to do, I think. And again, you can totally play the game and get like I've put in enough time that I feel like I've gotten my money's worth. Even though I didn't actually buy the game, I'm playing it through the subscription service, so I didn't technically buy it. But
wait, so there's no paid DLC for this, is there? Or is there?
No, so all DLC is going to be free, which I guess is the other positive point. If you bought the game or you were thinking about buying the game, like I said, don't be like the people who got Destiny 2 and played it for like 100 hours in the first month and then realized how shallow the end game was and was like, I didn't get my money's worth. You need to change the review scores or whatever. Like, if you put in that much time, like, you got your money's worth. Whether you found the end game to be what you wanted it to be or not, like, that'll get fixed with time. Just, you have to be patient. That's sort of the game as service model for that. But you got your time in, you know what I mean? I feel like Anthem's kind of like that. You'll have to wait for more content, but that's just sort of, you have to wait for them to develop it at the same time. So, and I think they'll get there in time. It just is a matter of them having to sort of deal with all the negativity online.
Yeah. Is there a hook for you to log in every day or every week right now?
They have daily and weekly challenges, and they did do like some sort of events where they had like these 4 titans out in the free play that you could go kill. They need to do more of that stuff as well. I know next month they have a new stronghold dropping, and they've outlined like a roadmap of stuff that they're going to drop. And among the stuff is more weapons and more stuff like that. So, like I said, it needs more of everything, but they're going to add more of everything. So
we'll probably check back in. Like, so here's something. Do you think there's going to be an Anthem announcement at E3?
Probably. There usually is. I feel like there's always a Destiny announcement of some sort.
I mean, what about this year, though?
I mean, I hope
Sans Activision. They're their own people now.
Oh gosh, that's true.
I guess that's not really what we're talking about, but like, yeah, you are right that like there is usually a Bungie thing every year at E3.
And like we were speculating what Bethesda was going to do with Fallout, and you were saying you didn't think that Fallout 76 would be mentioned at all, and I guess it still could not be mentioned at all, but they did.
I kind of stand by that because I still feel like no one is talking about Fallout.
They are bad stuff happens, but they did actually recently outline like this long roadmap for additional stuff that they're going to add to Fallout 76 that goes into the fall. So they're not done with that game. I think there is still probably a solid fan base that plays that game. I don't know who it is, but they exist. And so
I feel like I'm pretty plugged in to checking multiple game news sites, and I don't remember the last time I saw any headlines with Fallout 76.
Like recently they did the one with the roadmap, but then there was also a story recently about how this guy who had played like 900 hours worth of Fallout 76 ended up getting banned for having too much ammo in his inventory. So like,
oh, I guess I do remember that thing about how a guy glitched into a new environment and got like items that aren't supposed to be in the game yet.
Well, that was even before that. So we talked about that on the show, I think.
Yeah, I remember that now. I don't know. I still feel like that was a failure, and they're gonna.
It's a failure for sure. But I mean, they're not
100%. It's a failure.
But they're not done. It's at least 76% of a failure. But they're not done with it. I think these games as services, like the companies, if they do them, even if they struggle out of the gate, they've got to stick by them. Yeah. And if they can eventually turn it, like nobody thought when No Man's Sky came out that game was ever going to be anything ever again after that response. And like a year later, it became this completely new game that everyone was like, you need to play this game. It's completely different from launch. This is what it should have been. Go check it out now. And like now people like the game. I feel like
that's true.
Like if the developers are dedicated enough to it and they work hard enough on it and they don't give up on it, you can almost save any game. I don't know if you can save Fallout 76, but the game as service model typically doesn't really, like those games don't come into their own until they've been out for at least 6 months to a year. Just because you almost have to get the game out and get your community playing it and get feedback from them and start developing the game that they want. Yeah. Which is why it would almost be better if like these big AAA publishers started embracing the early access model. Like I know that's typically like an indie studio thing, but like I think the response to Anthem would have been totally different if they had been like, this game's not finished. You can pay money now to get in on the ground floor and help us by playing it, giving us your feedback, telling us what we need to improve, and you're kind of helping us to build the game. And then in the fall, we'll have like a full launch.
I think that is genius. And I think you're right. I think that is, because if they were like, hey, guess what? $30 and you can play it like for 2 weeks before everybody else, and it's going to be real janky, but you're only paying $30. I feel like there would have been zero backlash for how terrible it was pre the patch.
You just have to be open and upfront about the fact that the game's not done yet, and tell them that this is early access. This is you contributing to the development of it, and people will not hate you for it the way they will if you tell them, here you go, full $60 retail release. It's done, but it's not. Anyway, having said all of that stuff about Anthem, I still also want to say that the gameplay loop of it is super fun. And I'm still having a lot of fun with it. And that's why I think the plan is always, above all else, get out a solid framework that you can then build on. And like if you're an early adopter, you'll have the experiences from the beginning. And years later, you'll talk to your friends, remember the loot cave from Destiny 1.
That's true.
So
the good old days.
You just have to decide whether you're on board for that type of a journey with a game or not. But if, on the other hand, if you wait 6 months or not even 6 months, just like a few months, and they've got some fixes and they've got some new content in there, you may not experience the bad stuff that everybody complained about at all. And your view of the game will be entirely different, which is how it happened for me with Destiny 1.
It's a gamble. There's pros and cons to both things. I think it's just a matter of like, if like they've put out a bunch of lore and just like you're really into the universe.
Yeah.
I think you're still going to get a lot out of buying something early access, even if it is super janky. If you're just like, I feel like a good story would make a lot of these things irrelevant because you're just like enraptured by the plot of the whole thing, and maybe the gameplay is a little glitched, but I don't know. But you said the Anthem story was just so-so.
Yeah, I mean, so I kind of think of it like the critical path is a little bit like playing through the main story of Skyrim, where that's like one quest line. And there's also like the Thieves Guild and the Dark Brotherhood and the Civil War storyline. There's all this other stuff. That's just like one villain that you take down in Anthem. There's also these other storylines. Now, the critical path is the one that has a few missions that feel different from the rest, that don't just feel like your sort of repetition through these like handful of different like common mechanics that you have already done already. They have a little bit more interesting stuff in there as far as the lore goes as well. But like, it's a world that can expand and do more than just have some generic villain. You know what I mean? So like, that's what's there for you to play through at launch. But there's also like a cutscene after you defeat the main villain. Spoilers, that happens.
What?
They show this dead creature on the table that looks a little bit like a Drell from Mass Effect. And they're like,
I don't remember what Drell looked like.
Just remember Thane, the green guy.
Oh, okay.
And they're like, this guy took out like a whole bunch of our guys before we finally took him down. It's bad news if these guys are back or whatever. So like they're already teasing the direction that they're moving forward with whatever comes next. So there's definitely going to be more. Yeah, the main villain, I think the main problem with the main villain is that they just don't develop him at all. Like they're so focused on maintaining the perspective of the player character that they just don't cut from his perspective to give you a cutscene from anyone else's perspective. And that would have gone a long way to establishing who that character is and where he came from, what he wants. And they didn't do any of that. And so that's kind of a problem. But having said that, you still also, like, you'll go out on a mission and you'll come back, and it's just like in Mass Effect, where after you complete a mission, you go back to the Normandy and you have all these different people to talk to. And you go talk to them, and the conversations you have with them, the stories that they tell you, and the things that you sort of help them out with, that's sort of world building. That's helping establish little side stories in the universe. And so I liked that stuff a lot. I wish that it would have had more of an impact on my personal vision of Fort Tarsis, like some of those decisions. And I feel like they could still do that as well at some point.
Well, I mean, we had that segment for a while where we were just going to talk about Destiny. I think we called that segment, It's Time to Talk About Destiny Again. And
maybe we traded off back and forth between Anthem and Destiny.
I was going to say, yeah, maybe this is, we can start a new segment, It's Time to Talk About Anthem again, because maybe they are going to be having weekly or monthly updates that like vastly change the player experience.
Well, they are, and I think it's in May, which seems like a long ways away, is when the first Cataclysm is going to happen. That's on the roadmap. So yeah, there's going to be interesting things happening in that game world over the next couple of months. So I'm curious to see how things change, what they add and what they don't add, because another thing that's interesting is that they did say that they've built the game in such a way that they can sort of pull some strings and turn some levers in the background and make some updates just sort of on the fly without having to send out a big patch, which is going to make it so that they can respond to things a lot more quickly than, say, Bungie can with Destiny. Because when they find a gun that's just broken in PvP in Destiny 2, they just make it the next weapon in Xur so that everybody has it, because that's faster than it would take them to actually patch it to fix it. So there's good and bad about Anthem right now. And I'm excited for the future, but I also don't want people to quit on it just because they've seen so much negativity around it.
Yeah. Yeah, I think come E3, they'll have interesting things to say. I would hope. I mean, man, last EA press conference. Wasn't the last one the one where they had that dumb Command and Conquer mobile game that happened live?
Yeah, that did happen.
Anything that gets us less of that and more interesting console games, I feel like is a benefit. So I would love for them to do a deep dive on things to come in Anthem at E3. I think that would be a great EA press conference.
That would be very cool, and I would also, I hope that happens. I hope they have like a huge like fall update that they want to talk about, and also like seasonal events and smaller updates that they're going to sprinkle throughout the time in between now and then. So that would be cool.
Well, we're running a little long, but I wanted to mention that we played we played Apex on console, and we almost got first place one time.
We did. I didn't expect it because you and I think had both gone down, and our other friend who had not played the game before this actually...
He was an MVP.
Yeah, he was the MVP of the match because he picked up our banners and revived us, and we just happened to survive long enough. Before we knew it, the game was almost over, and we're like, oh, we're the one of the last two teams. It was crazy. But that game
and
is
we ended
so
up
good.
Losing. It's so good. I played a little bit today on PC, and I got second place another time. And I was very excited about it. I have not won. No, I have not won yet. My one really good friend who's really good at shooters, who I always win at PUBG with, has not been playing recently. He's still been playing PUBG. But when he plays some Apex with me, I'm hoping to win, which I'm very excited about. When I get my first win, I will take a picture of it.
I got a win. I put it up on our Instagram, although...
Oh, man.
It wasn't really me so much as the guy I was playing with who did most of the work. I just kind of was along for the ride and survived. I may have killed one or two people, but he he went ham at the very end, and we ended up winning because of it. So I think I had actually gone down too. So I was spectating him as he was doing it. I was like, this is crazy. And then it came up and I was like, I feel like I don't deserve this win because I wasn't actually alive for it, but I'll take it.
It's a great game. I love to play it. I was going to recommend some stuff. I have Hulu now, so I've been watching a lot of random stuff, but...
just rapid fire.
Rapid fire. Zach, The Orville is a good show.
I was actually curious. I got, for Christmas, I got Google Play cards, and I was like, you know what? I kind of want to watch The Orville. But then
it's
didn't.
Good. You have to really, really, really slog through, the first 2 or 3 episodes because... it's heavily the not good things about Seth MacFarlane shows for a little bit, but you can tell he loves Star Trek, and it is very true to Star Trek. I think by the 3rd episode, there's some heavy ethical stuff that happens that I'm very into. And I finished off so I watched the first 4 episodes and then forgot about it. Now I have Hulu, so I finished the first season in a night. And then I have watched up. I'm caught up on the 2nd season now, and it's been great. There is the occasional random weird joke that doesn't fit, but 2nd season that happens a lot less, and it's just straight up Star Trek, and it's great. I will say a lot of episodes end with people being bummed out, which I'm not really into.
Yeah.
But all in all, I've really been enjoying The Orville, and I wish. Regular Star Trek was like The Orville, but it's not. It's Discovery.
Are you going to watch
garbage.
the new ones with Patrick Stewart?
We don't know what that is going to be yet, and maybe that's going to be what I want, but I have a feeling it is not going to be great. But I guess we'll see. I mean, Patrick Stewart is great, but I'm just very worried they're going to take it in a crazy direction I'm not going to enjoy. I want more Next Generation, and this is what The Orville is. The Orville is Next Generation with a slightly adult skew and a little bit almost surrealist because people are just saying random stuff all the time. But it's great, and I recommend it, and I think The Orville is good, is what I have to say.
Well, you know what I have been watching again that I still desperately want you to watch?
The Expanse.
The Expanse. Because that is coming back for a 4th season, officially on Amazon Prime. They saved the day last year after Sci-Fi tried to cancel them.
I need to watch. You can't, there's not an easy way. I can't Chromecast it from my phone. And that's as crazy as that is, that's the one thing that's making me not watch it is I can't just look at my phone and then look at the TV.
Yeah, that is kind of a shame, but you should get an NVIDIA Shield TV. because
Maybe, I don't know. I already have 3 Chromecast.
I think I own the first 3 seasons on Google Play because I when they were airing, I would buy them on Google Play so I could watch them as they were happening. And then
just buy it.
It just later happened to show up on Amazon Prime. And so that's where you can watch it right now if you don't want to pay for it. But otherwise, yeah, you could just buy them on Google Play. And the show is so good. It's so very good. And I have the feeling it's going to get even better because they now don't have the restrictions of like broadcast television that they once had now that they're with Amazon Prime. So definitely check that show out.
I need to. It's just I know it's going to be so good, and
the writing is so good in that show.
I know. I really do. I want to watch it. I just I don't know. Maybe it'll be my treat. You know what? Our spring break is coming up. Maybe I'll binge watch it on spring break.
Oh, yeah. You should definitely do that.
I probably will do that, actually. I was looking for something to sink some time into, and that is what I'll do.
We should definitely talk about it when
we will, yeah. We should, whenever we do the cast during spring break, or maybe afterward, we can do a deep dive. Maybe we'll do some sort of, weird Starside Flicks analog where we just talk about every episode of The Expanse.
That would be fun, actually. I'm down for that.
We'll see. TBD. Anyway, we should end this episode because it's going very over.
Do you have any parting wisdom before we go?
Ooh. Let me think about this for a second. What have I done recently that has enlightened me? I would say that Easter bunnies are almost always a scam because you look at an Easter bunny, almost 100% of the time it's going to be hollow. But I recently was getting a treat.
I gotcha.
Yeah, chocolate Easter bunnies. I recently was at a Walgreens and I was like, oh, you know what? I'll get an Easter bunny for my girlfriend. It'll be fun. Oh, they have Crunch Bar Easter bunnies. This looks great. So I got one. Come to find out that only a millimeter of the chocolate is Crunch Bar and the rest is just chocolate. In general, Easter candy is always trying to gyp you. If you get a Reese's chocolate Easter bunny, I would bet you that only the head has peanut butter in it or some other nonsense. You have to be really careful when you buy Easter candy because in general they're trying a giant Easter bunny, a giant chocolate Easter bunny looks very impressive, but they're always trying to skimp out on that by making it hollow or making it like eggshell thin, you know?
Yeah, I was going to say, it's always the most disappointing thing when I was a kid and I got one of those chocolate Easter bunnies was when I would bite into it and realize that it was hollow and the thing would just crumble all around. And I was like, this is not all the chocolate that I wanted.
The boxes also, you'll look at a box and it looks like there's a giant Easter bunny in it, and then you open it up and the entire box, the half of the box is empty. It was just half an Easter bunny. They'd made the box big and padded it out with plastic, so you thought you were getting a full one. When you take it out of the box, it's just
it's tiny.
A cameo. Exactly.
Yeah. It's true.
Easter is bad.
Easter is bad unless you get just buy Reese's, I guess, and skip make your own.
I will say
make your own Reese's Easter bunny.
That
I don't know how you.
My parents used to give me an Easter. They used to give me and my brother an Easter basket on Easter, which I was very appreciative of. And usually, what they would do is it would be a bunch of candy, and then they would go to Half Price Books and get a half price video game from the PC section of Half Price Books that was $5, and that is how I played Final Fantasy VII. I got it on Easter, a PC version of it in a crazy old style triangle PC box port for PC, and I played through Final Fantasy VII on my old computer, and it was great.
That's really cool. I always got the Easter basket, but I don't think I got any cool gifts that went along with it. It was just a lot of candy. It was almost
always a $5 PC game from Half Price Books.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Easter. You should follow us on Twitter at Starside Cafe that's 2 different places that you can find us. Follow us on Twitter at Starside Cafe and send us an email at starsidecafe@gmail.com. You can go to our website at, what is it, No, it's just starsidecafe.com.
http://
Nobody messes with that stuff. They just type it in and hit go and it works. And you can follow us on Instagram as well. I sometimes put stuff on there. I put our win, the win I got from Apex Legends on there.
How great would it be if Vine still existed and we could have a Vine for Starside Cafe?
That would be fun. I would let you run that one.
I would run it. It would be great.
Actually, I started experimenting with like clipping out little pieces of video and exporting them in a format that would work for Instagram back during the Anthem demos. So I was playing around with some of that, and that's kind of fun. So I kind of want to do a little bit more of that. So go check us out on Instagram as well. We're Starside Cafe on there as well.
Check us out. All right. Well, we'll see you next time. We'll have plenty to talk about because Pokemon is going to happen, but we'll see you next time.
Goodbye.
Goodbye.